And something essential is to encourage new generations to become aware of the way they dress, to know how and where what they are wearing has been produced. This is our culture, and information and transparency are the pillars for a conscious consumption.
We're the Majority Group, and this is Style as Identity, where we profile the designers and founders whose mere existence shifts our understanding of the style status quo. We're your hosts. I'm Lola Cotero.
And I'm Frankie Quasem.
And after years of settling for style that didn't represent us,
we set out to find the brands that did. Join us each episode as we learn from brands that are an extension of their values, identity, and aesthetic. And because of them, we're seen and represented.
Made to order, handmade by artisans, uses the highest quality of natural fibers and dyes, are all things we've heard before in a brand. But Maidi goes even beyond that with an extra something. I mean, these pieces are stunning, truly classic, but never boring, and they feel wonderful while being built to last.
And for that, we can thank María Abdala Zolezzi, who you'll meet in a minute. She created Maidi out of Buenos Aires, Argentina. And while Argentina is much more famous for its agriculture than it is for its manufacturing, María built Maidi, and she did it in her own way by working with the community to learn and create the systems and certifications to get it done and get it done intentionally. Text Hola Maidi, that's HOLAMAYDI, to us at the number 833-495-4773 to follow along visually. This info can also be found in our show notes. Hi, María. Hi, Lola.
Hi.
Hi.
It's so good to have you here. I know we've been looking forward to this for a long time, and I think a good place to start is just to hear about your background, María. Like, how did you come into fashion, and how did you create Maidi?
Very nice to meet you. So I'm María Abdala Zolezzi. I am the founder and creative director of Maidi. Maidi, I am the fashion designer, and Maidi is my nickname. Since I was a child, my passion was fashion. And I had my own sewing machines to make the clothes for my dolls. I studied advertising in Buenos Aires. I studied in fashion of school in London, like an apprenticeship to make fashion design. I worked for 10 years in the fashion industry in Paris for many brands like Hermès, Sonia, Rykiel, in the communication and marketing skills. And when I decided to come back to Buenos Aires, Argentina, I decided to make my own brand because after 10 years of and acquire knowledge in different areas, press and marketing, I can do with all this experience. And the answer was start researching what were the main research in Argentina. And I found that we have the best raw natural fibers. So this is why I was born Maidi.
It's a very linear life journey you've had in the world of fashion, which is amazing. I was wondering, you were so interested in fashion and designing at a young age. Like, was that something you were surrounded by and wanted to continue and had like almost mentors? Or did it just something that kind of came from you?
So I love fashion from when I was a child. And when they have the opportunity to work in the fashion industry in Paris, I have a lot of mentors. Like one of my mentors was Robert Dodd. With him, I start to work in marketing for many American brands. And then step by step, I try to change in different areas of the fashion industry, like marketing, like commercial, like product. And in Argentina, I pushed my creativity because I felt in all those experiences, my creativity is like limit, I had a mentor as well that I worked for the Fédération Française de la Couture. Her name is Patricia Lera, and she pushed me to build my brand. And in 2014, I had the opportunity to present my collection at the Milano trade fair for accessories. And it was an amazing experience because I have my first Italian customer. So this is, I think, is the start of this beautiful history.
That's wonderful. I love how you've been able to transform your passion for fashion, as Lola said, in all these different ways. And then you're kind of bringing them together with Maidi. And you talked about your first Italian customer. We'd love to hear about your customers. So who do you think Maidi is for? Who's your target customer?
My first customer was Italian, but then step by step in 2017, it was my first presentation in Paris in 2017. It was a lot of appointment with Japanese customers. It was a surprise for me because I don't remember how many customers came at my showroom, my first presentations. But I feel I have a very close approach with Japanese customers because they really appreciated the style, my minimalist and contemporary design, even if all the pieces are artisanal. At the same time, they appreciated because the history of kimonos on traditional techniques of Japanese customers, I think is a really good match with Maidi between fabrics, because they know very well what is the difference between cashmere and merino wool and vicuna, for example, and at the same time, so the different technique that I use in my knitwear label.
You said cashmere, merino wool, and what was that third one?
Vicuna. Vicuna is Vicugna. Vicuna is like the camel family and is one of the most sophisticated fibers in the world, not very famous. For example, Italian markets, for them, they use, for example, Loro Piana, they use a lot of vicuna. And in the past, the Indians called them the silk of the earth because it's very, very soft and it's very precious, the touching, the feeling of this fiber. And for example, at Maidi, we start a collaboration with the community in the north of Argentina because these animals, they live between the Cordilleras de Andes, between Bolivia and even Peru. So are very famous even in Peru. It's the same family than the alpaca, but it's the first in the chain, is the first animal, is a wild animal, and then it's coming the guanaco, then alpaca, and then llama.
How did you learn about all these differences between the different animals and the different fibers and where they are?
I learned by myself because I am a very passionate by the fibers. Even if I love fashion, of course, actually, for me, it's very important. So the contact with the animals. And I work also with many biologists and scientists from CONICET, which is one of the most institute of technology in South America. And I learned with them all these special properties of each fiber. But I learned by myself because I am passionate by fibers.
When you found a fiber or an animal that you wanted to work with, can you give us an examples? Like walk us through a material that you now turn into a garment that had not been made into a garment before, at least in Argentina and your ecosystem.
When I started, it was merino wool because Argentina is the first country in the world to export the best merino wool.
I get some props for that. Yeah.
I'm so proud of that.
Yes, I get that.
So the quality of our merino wool and the quality of Maidi use this kind of merino wool is like similar than the cashmere touching because it depends of the microns. Microns, for example, you have starting from 16 microns to 25 microns.
What is a micron?
Microns is like the quality of the wool. It's like the skin of the ship. It's the skin of the ship. And when they sharing, for example, they separate different types of wool. So the quality of this merino wool is just wonderful because it's very bright, it's soft, and I feel so proud as well because in 2019, I started working with community of rangers in the Patagonia, in the Peninsula de Valdez, in Argentina. I am the first knitwear designers that I get this wildlife friendly certification.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I would love to hear more about the quality that you were just talking about. What factors determine the quality, and how does the certification impact that quality, for better or for worse?
The quality depends, like I told you before, that the microns. I use, for example, 18.5 microns of this type of wool. For example, the certification, for example, it's obtained between the coexistence with native wildlife species of sheep in Peninsula de Valdez, according to the conservation and native vegetation of the soil. I mean, this is the determine the quality as well of the wool. It's like when you eat, for example, like a bio product or not bio, for example, that you have different taste. For the fiber is the same things because they don't use any chemical products. All the animals are the protect, but at the same time, so the wild coexistence as well. So this is, I think, to get this wildlife certification, I think really good things for the cooperatives, the rangers, that they produce the wool, but at the same time for brands like mine to be an example for different generations coming on. Is this certification as well as like government organizations with wildlife conservation society. So it's all those organizations are really invest in this project.
Absolutely. Okay, so I think I'm with you. The certification helps to ensure that everything that impacts these animals and the fibers are upheld. It's all an ecosystem, from the soil and the air and the land. And so that impacts probably the lifestyle that these animals live, but then also the fibers that they produce and then your brand uses. Is that right? Did I hear that correctly?
Yeah, it's right. The intention of the Wildlife Conservation Society, wildlife, and all the rangers, and even me. So it's to promote natural fibers, to activate the different regional economies and different parts of Argentina. So I think it's good for everything in terms of environment, in terms of social and economy, and to produce in different ways to be an example for another part of Argentina as well.
The life cycle to create a garment with your brand has so much more intention. And I'm curious to know, what is the values of Maidi and the legacy you want to leave behind that has informed such a thoughtful, intentional process in producing your materials?
For us, it's very important to continue this profession, to continue the legacy of the craftsmanship. And something essential is to encourage new generations to become aware of the way they dress, for example, to know how and where what they are wearing has been produced. And this is our culture, and information and transparency are the pillars for a conscious consumption. So I think all those values are really important, and we try every day with our brand with an example, for example, to communicate for all our customers at the same time to the young generation as well.
Yeah. Maria, how do you do that? Like, what are the different ways you communicate that or educate customers or even other designers that you may inspire through your process? Like, how do you share the knowledge that everything that you're learning with Maidi or that work with certifications? Like, how do you share that?
So I'm inspired by many things, but especially always in every collections by the nature. It's present in every collection, and every collection it's inspired by my state of mind. For example, the spring summer collection 2023, it's inspired by the fires. It was in Esteros de Liberá, which is one of the most freshwater wetlands in South America, and I think worldwide. And I came from this part of Argentina, and the name of this collection, it's called Renacer, Rebirth, because I feel that nature, of course, with the help that the person we can help to the nature to save the lands and all this area. For example, we make a collaboration with our Artesanos de Liberá, which is a community in these wetlands. And we use a vegetable fiber called espartillo, which is typical, is like a grass, and is in the sandy areas of this part of Argentina. And for example, all this collection with colors and our intention to make this collaboration with these communities just for environmental aspect, but at the same time for the economy, for these artisans to make known this fiber. So every collection we are inspired by nature.
Thinking about color for a minute, you have your collection of fibers, you have your materials. How do you use color, or how is color informed by the material and fiber that you're using?
So natural is always present because not dying at all, and even for animal fibers and even for vegetable fibers. For example, if we introduce a new color, so we make different tries with different plants. I work at the same time with people in Argentina who make the natural dyes with different kind of plants of South America, but always our color in general are 100% natural, because dyeing to make industrial dyeing is one of the worst things for the environment, and of course take a lot of water. And so this is why in general we use just only the color of the animals, of the colors of the plants in the vegetable fibers. Yellow, I think for the sun, we introduce also, like, it's called leather brown. It's, for me, it's as the fires. We introduce as well green, the fern green color. I think is for the vegetation and for the grass. So each color represents the nature and those fires in the Esteros de Liberá, in these freshwater wetlands. So the color is inspired by of the nature, for the sun, for rivers, for the lagoons, from the water. So
yeah. And were the materials you used, the fibers, naturally those colors, or did you have to dye them to become the colors that you wanted for the collection?
Basically, for this collection, we use bamboo fiber, of course, so not natural color, but of course, to get the yellow one, for example, of course, we make different dyes with different plants.
And so for the yellow one, I mean, I'm definitely interested to hear a little bit more about this, and I think our audiences too. So you have a plant that you know you can use to help dye the bamboo fiber yellow. What does that look like? How do you dye a bamboo fiber?
In general, the people that I work for dyings, they try so many recipes, many recipes to get the color, and then want to have different recipes. So I choose the color that I like more than the others. But they try, for example, with many plants or many trees from South America, with, for example, with onions, so the skin of the onions,
I've done that before, Maria. I've dyed with onions. I did tie-dye with it. It worked. It worked.
So we dyeing also with the cochineal, with the parasite of the cactus. This, for example, to get all the colors in red, we use cochineal. For example, we use also the skin of the avocado. It's called like avocado.
Avocado? Is that what we're?
Yeah, avocado. Sorry, avocado. I do more difficult than that is. Okay, so
We could say aguacate. We know what aguacate is around here.
avocado. So the skin of the avocado. So we use also tea, different tea, for example, black tea, to get some colors as well. Especially with the skin of onions, we get different types of yellow ones, for example. It's not me that dyeing. When I make a production for many kilos of fibers, you are really be specialized in this area, in this material, because in general, all the colors are not the same. For example, if you're trying to dyeing, I don't know, maybe 5 kilos altogether, or if you dye, I don't know, 1 kilo, is not the same. And maybe you get different kind of dyings or different colors. So I work with people specialized in that area.
It's important for people to know that almost like specification across the different materials you use, both from like what's the process of getting it to dyeing it, but also like even the certificate. So could you remind us, like, we could just do a quick list. What are the different materials that you use across like animal and plant fibers? Because we've talked about vicuna, we've talked about bamboo, we've talked about merino. So like you can list as many as you can, just so people can understand that like almost relearning that has to happen across the different fibers.
Okay, so for animal fibers, we use merino wool, 18.5 microns. We use as well merino hand spoon, which is another process of the thread of the wool. We use also baby alpaca, llama wool, which are the family of the camel. We use as well mohair, which is Argentina is the first country as well that export the mohair in the world, and we have the wildlife friendly certification as well. We work with guanaco. Guanaco is a wild animal, the same family than vicuna, llama, and alpaca. And in the vegetable fibers, for example, we work with bamboo. We work also with cotton and organic cotton, which is, you have a difference because organic cotton consumes less water than the normal cotton. We use also raw silk, is coming from the silkworm. We work as well with espartillo, which is like the fiber that I told you before. We work as well with raffia. And this is basically all those fibers that we work actually.
That's amazing. Those are all very different. Thank you for listing all of those. Maria, it'd be great if you could say the values of Maidi.
I think one of the more important things for us as creative designers is to be close to the people who work with me, like Candela and many other women's and men's, that we are a really good and nice team. So we take care, of course, of the environment, animals, planets, and for us is really important to push the regional economies. For me, especially, is very important that every people who are with Maidi feel good, feel fine. And another thing which is very, very important for me, that is sustainability. Is the responsible of every individual every day. And I want to make unique clothes working under fair trade principles while keeping an equitable relationship with the environment, as well with the respect and appreciation for the individual people who participate in the craftsmanship of each garment.
it's a lot. It's hard to run any company with those values and intentions. And I think the more we see and showcase that, the more other people can see that it's possible. So thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Maria.
Thank you very much.
Next time, we're traveling to London. Okay, we wish. But we'll be talking to Jenya Maniva, founder of Bin London, who is proving that waste in fashion needs to be redefined from something we discard to an essential element of our supply chain. Join us as we get to know Jenya, her smart approach to brand building, and her sleek collection of bags. It's gonna be grand.